He raised a tiny creature into a terrifying predator. Now the tribe's princess has no choice but. Ethan Cole stood at the edge of the Red Valley and watched the wind move across the tall grass. The sky above him was pale and wide, with two small suns hanging low. This world was not beautiful in a soft way. It was sharp, dry, and dangerous. Every sound mattered here. Every shadow could hide teeth. Ethan was not a soldier. He was not a hero. He was a simple human researcher sent far from Earth to learn about alien life. His job was to watch, record, and survive. The local tribe allowed humans to stay only because humans traded tools and medicine. The tribe believed humans were weak but clever, useful but not important. Ethan accepted that. He had learned long ago that pride had no value on frontier worlds. The tribe lived near the valley in stone shelters built into the cliffs. They were tall, furred beings with long ears and sharp eyes. They were hunters, but they feared the deep wild. Many predators lived beyond the valley, and some were said to hunt for sport, not hunger. Ethan stayed in a small metal shelter at the edge of the tribe's land. He worked alone most days, collecting data and observing creatures from a distance. The tribe warned him not to wander too far. They said the land beyond belonged to death. One morning, while walking near a dry riverbed, Ethan heard a thin sound. It was weak and broken, like a breath trapped in pain. He stopped and listened. The sound came again, closer now. He followed it slowly, his hand resting on his belt tool, though he knew it would not help much if a true predator appeared. Behind a cracked stone, he found it. The creature was small, no bigger than a house cat. Its skin was dark and smooth, with faint lines that pulsed softly. It had too many eyes, clustered near the front of its head, and small clawed limbs tucked close to its body. One leg was twisted badly, and dried blood stained the ground. Ethan knelt down. The creature hissed weakly and tried to crawl away, but it could barely move. Its eyes fixed on him, wide and fearful. Ethan had seen this species before. The tribe called them valley runners. They said they were harmless prey, eaten by larger beasts. No one cared when they died. Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. He slowly removed his pack and took out a small medical spray. He spoke softly, though he knew the creature did not understand words. He moved carefully, not reaching too fast. When he sprayed the wound, the creature cried out and tried to bite him, but it was too weak. Ethan did not pull away. He finished the treatment and wrapped the leg with a light brace. The creature shook, then went still. Its breathing slowed. Ethan waited. After a long moment, the creature did not flee. It only watched him. Ethan smiled faintly. He lifted it gently and placed it in his pack, leaving the top open so it could see. He knew the tribe would not approve, but he could not leave it there. When he returned, the tribe noticed at once. Princess Lily Arden stood near the central fire, speaking with elders. She was young, with dark fur marked by pale lines that showed her status. Her eyes were sharp and proud. When she saw Ethan and the movement in his pack, she stepped forward. "What do you carry, human?" she asked in broken trade speech. Ethan lowered his pack slightly so they could see inside. "An injured runner," he said. "It was hurt. I helped it." Soft clicks and low laughs spread through the gathered hunters. "You waste effort," one elder said. "Runners die. They always die." Lily looked closer. Her ears tilted back. "Why bring prey into our land?" she asked. "Predators will smell it." Ethan met her gaze. "Then I will protect it," he said simply. More laughter followed, louder this time. "You protect nothing," Lily said. "You are human. Even our children can hunt better than you." Ethan said nothing. He bowed his head slightly and walked back to his shelter. Inside, he placed the creature in a padded crate and adjusted the temperature. He fed it nutrient gel and watched as it slowly began to eat. Its eyes never left him. Days passed. The creature healed faster than Ethan expected. Its leg grew straight again, stronger each day. It learned to move around the shelter, always staying close. When Ethan left, it waited. When he returned, it watched him with quiet focus. Ethan named it Ash. The name came to him without thought. At night, strange sounds echoed from the wild. Deep roars, sharp cries, and heavy steps that made the ground tremble. Ash would press close to Ethan, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Ethan studied Ash carefully. He noticed patterns. Ash learned quickly. It responded to tone and gesture. When Ethan raised his hand, Ash stopped. When he tapped the floor, Ash came closer. This was not normal for prey. Weeks passed and Ash grew larger. Its limbs thickened. Its claws sharpened. Its eyes became more focused, more aware. Its skin darkened and hardened. Ethan recorded everything. One evening, Lily approached his shelter alone. "You keep the runner," she said. "Yes," Ethan replied. "Why?" she asked. Ethan thought for a moment. "Because it lives," he said. "And because it chooses not to run from me." Lily watched Ash move behind him. "It is changing," she said quietly. Ethan nodded. "Everything changes when given time," he said. Lily did not reply. She turned and left, her tail moving in slow thought. That night a scream cut through the camp. Ethan rushed outside. Hunters ran toward the eastern edge of the valley. Torches flared. Fear filled the air. A large predator had crossed into tribal land. It was massive, with armored plates and a mouth full of curved teeth. Two hunters lay injured nearby. Ethan froze. Then Ash moved. The creature stepped forward, body low, eyes locked on the predator. A deep sound rose from its chest, nothing like the weak hiss it once made. The predator hesitated. For the first time, the tribe saw it. Saw what Ethan had raised. Ash did not attack. It only stood unafraid. The predator slowly backed away, then turned and fled into the dark. Silence followed. Lily stared at Ash, her eyes wide. "That is no runner," she whispered. Ethan placed a hand on Ash's back. "No," he said softly. "It never was." And in that moment the valley seemed smaller, and the humans no longer looked so weak. Ethan woke early the next morning. The suns were just rising over the jagged cliffs, painting the valley in orange and red. Ash was already awake, stretching its long limbs and sniffing the air. Ethan watched quietly. Every day, Ash seemed stronger, smarter, more alive. It moved with grace now, like it knew the land even better than Ethan did. He prepared his pack for a day outside. He wanted to study the nearby ridge where larger predators sometimes passed. Ash followed him without hesitation, staying close and scanning the surroundings. Ethan had grown used to this. He did not need to speak much. Ash understood gestures, tones, even small looks. The bond between them was quiet but strong. As they moved through the tall grass, Ethan noticed the tracks of a predator. Deep impressions in the soil, claws dragging. He knew this creature from his readings, a heavy hunter that could tear through the tribe's defenses easily. Normally, the tribe avoided these areas. Hunters never risked it, but Ethan felt calm. Ash walked beside him like a shadow, calm and alert. The hunter tracks led to a small clearing. Ethan crouched behind a rock. He watched as the large predator appeared, sniffing the air, muscles tense, ready to strike anything weak. Ash stepped forward without hesitation. Ethan signaled it to stay quiet. The creature froze, its body low, tail sweeping the dirt. The predator moved closer. Ethan's heart beat fast, but he stayed calm. Ash's eyes glowed faintly. Ethan realized something important. Ash was no longer prey. It did not fear the hunter. It was calculating, waiting for the right moment. Without warning, Ash lunged. It did not roar or attack wildly. It moved with precision, a single, perfect motion that forced the predator to stumble. The predator turned, confused, unsure what to do. Ethan felt a rush of pride. Ash had learned not from fear, not from anger, but from patience and observation. After a tense moment, the predator retreated. It disappeared into the forest, leaving the clearing silent. Ethan knelt down and ran a hand over Ash's back. Ash looked at him, eyes bright with understanding. No words were needed. The predator would not return soon. The valley had learned that Ash was not an ordinary creature. That evening, Ethan returned to the tribe's settlement. Word had already spread. Hunters whispered among themselves, and children peeked from behind shelters. Even the elders came out to see. They watched Ash calmly follow Ethan into the center of the camp. Lily stepped forward. Her ears were flat against her head, her eyes wide. She had not seen anything like this before. "It is bigger than I thought," she said, almost to herself. Ethan nodded. "It is learning fast," he said. The elders murmured, exchanging glances. One elder stepped forward. "You have changed it, human," he said. "It is no longer a runner. It is something else." Ethan looked at Ash. The creature's body was lean, but muscles rippled under its skin. It moved with confidence, scanning the camp, calm but aware. Ethan realized Ash was teaching the tribe a lesson without even trying. Over the next few weeks, Ethan worked with Ash every day. He taught it commands using soft tones, hand gestures, and rewards. Ash learned quickly, mastering each task with intelligence and precision. It could track animals in the distance, avoid traps, and even mimic small sounds to communicate with Ethan. The tribe began to notice changes in their own environment. Predators that once roamed the area freely now avoided the outskirts of the camp. Nests were abandoned. Hunting grounds grew quiet. Children ran safely through the grass, and even hunters felt a new kind of safety. Lily watched from a distance. She could not deny what she saw. Ash was no ordinary creature. It was powerful, intelligent, and loyal to a human. The idea unsettled her. Tradition told her that humans were helpers, not protectors. Yet here was proof that one human could change the balance of power. One afternoon, Ethan and Ash were in the valley observing a distant herd of grazing creatures. Ethan pointed and spoke softly. Ash crouched and moved with silent steps, watching, waiting. The herd did not notice. Ethan smiled. Ash was not hunting, not attacking. It was learning control, patience, and strategy. Lily approached cautiously. She had followed them from the camp. "You teach it too much," she said. "It is no longer simple prey." Ethan shook his head. "Simple prey dies quickly," he said. "Survival is not strength alone. It is knowledge, care, and focus." Lily's ears twitched. She did not reply. She had seen enough. The truth was clear. Ash was becoming something the tribe had never seen before, something that could protect, hunt, and even think like a human in some ways. One night, while the suns were low and the valley was quiet, Ethan sat near his shelter. Ash lay beside him, breathing slow and steady. Distant roars echoed from the hills, but Ash did not stir. Ethan knew that Ash had learned fear, but it had chosen not to act on it recklessly. It had learned power without chaos. Lily appeared at the edge of the camp. She watched them silently, her shadow long in the moonlight. She realized the tribe's safety now depended on this human and his creature. She had no choice but to reconsider her old beliefs. Humans were not just helpers. They could be teachers, leaders, and masters of survival. In the days that followed, Ethan and Ash continued their work. They explored deeper into the valley, studying other predators, testing Ash's skills, and learning from the land. Ash grew larger, faster, smarter. It could anticipate threats, adapt to changes, and even help humans navigate dangers. The tribe began to respect Ethan silently. Whispers spread that he had raised something incredible. Children would point and stare, elders would nod, and hunters would pause when they saw Ash move through the grass. Fear mixed with respect. Lily approached Ethan one morning, her voice quiet. "It listens to you," she said. "It is stronger than any hunter I know." Ethan smiled. "It does not need to obey blindly. It chooses to trust. That is the difference," he said. Lily looked away. She understood even if she did not like it. The balance of power was changing, and humans were no longer insignificant. Ash had become a protector, a teacher, and a force that even the wild had to respect. As the sun set again, Ethan stood beside Ash on a high ridge. The valley stretched below, quiet and still. Predators lurked in the distance, but none dared come close. The tribe slept safely. Ethan realized that Ash had not only grown strong, it had changed the world around them. And somewhere in the shadows, Lily watched. She knew that soon she would have to face the truth. Humans could shape life itself, turning the smallest creature into a force of survival. She was no longer sure she could stop what was coming. Ethan knelt and touched Ash's side. Together, they would face the challenges ahead. Ash's eyes gleamed in the fading light. The predator was learning. The hunter was watching. And the valley, for the first time, belonged to them both. From that night on, Ethan and Ash became more than just companions. They became a team, united by trust, intelligence, and a quiet understanding. Every day brought new lessons, new dangers, and new proof that humans could shape the world around them in ways no one had imagined. The tribe began to whisper of the human who could raise a predator, and the creature that even the wild feared. Lily stayed silent, but she knew her time to act would come. She would have to accept what Ethan had done. The predator was not just Ash anymore. It was a symbol of change, a living proof that humans were not weak. And in the deep valley, the wind carried a new sound. Not a roar of chaos, not a cry of fear, but the quiet, steady presence of Ash, learning, watching, and ready for whatever came next. Ethan watched the suns dip below the cliffs. He knew the journey was only beginning. Ash would grow. The tribe would change. Predators would adapt. And humans, perhaps for the first time on this wild planet, would hold power not through force, but through care, intelligence, and the courage to raise what others dismissed. The valley had shifted. The future was uncertain. But Ethan and Ash were ready. Together they would teach the wild to respect them and the tribe to trust them. And in that quiet strength, the seeds of change had already begun to grow. Ethan woke to the sound of movement outside his shelter. Ash was already standing, muscles tense, eyes scanning the horizon. The valley was quiet, but Ethan had learned not to trust silence. Predators often moved in the shadows, waiting for a mistake. He prepared his pack quickly, checking the tools and supplies he would need for the day. Ash stayed close, sniffing the wind, ears rotating to catch the slightest sound. Ethan knew the creature was not just following him anymore. It was watching, learning, and thinking ahead. They moved through the tall grass toward the cliffs at the edge of the valley. Ethan wanted to explore an area where the tribe rarely went. It was dangerous, with deep ravines and heavy predators that hunted in packs. Ash walked steadily beside him, a silent shadow, moving with a quiet power that drew attention even from a distance. As they approached a narrow path between two cliffs, Ethan noticed footprints. Large, deep prints pressed into the red soil. He knelt and studied them. The tracks were fresh. A rival clan of hunters had crossed into the valley. Ethan knew their stories. They were brutal, hunting other tribes for food and territory. He stood and looked at Ash. The creature's eyes glowed faintly in the morning light. Ethan did not need to speak. Ash understood the danger immediately. Its body tensed, tail swishing, ready for anything. They followed the tracks cautiously, moving silently. Ethan stayed close to Ash, trusting the creature's instincts as much as his own knowledge. Soon, they saw movement ahead. 3 figures were approaching, armed with crude weapons, scanning the valley. They were not hunters of animals, they were hunters of people. Ethan signaled Ash to stay low. The creature crouched, barely visible in the tall grass. Ethan watched the rival hunters carefully. They spoke in harsh clicks and growls, voices sharp and commanding. Ethan recognized some of their symbols. This clan had attacked other settlements before. Ethan had to act. He could not let them reach the tribe. He whispered a command to Ash. The creature moved silently, slipping through the grass toward the hunters. Ethan followed, keeping low, heart-pounding. Ash struck first. It moved with precision, its claws striking the ground in a controlled pattern, forcing the hunters to stop. One of the hunters saw the movement and shouted a warning. The sound echoed across the cliffs. The hunters raised their weapons, but Ash was faster. It lunged, not to kill immediately, but to control the fight. It knocked one hunter off balance, sending him tumbling into a shallow ravine. The other two froze, eyes wide, realizing they were facing something beyond anything they had known. Ethan stepped forward cautiously. He raised his hands, signaling Ash to hold. The creature froze, muscles tight, eyes locked on the remaining hunters. Ethan spoke calmly in a low voice that Ash had learned to understand. "Stay. Do not attack." The hunters hesitated. They were trained to fight humans and prey, not a creature like Ash. They had never seen a being so strong, so intelligent, so controlled. Ethan stepped closer. His presence was steady, confident, and the hunters could sense it. Ash moved slightly, standing between Ethan and the hunters, a wall of muscle and skill. The creature's tail lashed once, a warning. Ethan could feel the tension in the air. The hunters did not move. They realized the fight was lost without a single strike. Finally, the leader of the rival clan raised his hands in surrender. He stepped back slowly, motioning to his companions. Ethan nodded, keeping Ash in position. The hunters retreated, eyes never leaving the predator that had changed the balance of power. Once they were gone, Ethan lowered his hands and signaled Ash to relax. The creature exhaled slowly, returning to his side. Ethan knelt and ran a hand over Ash's back. The bond between them was clear. Ash trusted him completely, and Ethan trusted Ash to act with precision and restraint. They returned to the tribe, moving quickly but carefully. When they arrived, the camp was tense. The elders had seen the rival hunters from a distance. Whispers spread quickly. The tribe had feared attack, but now they saw Ethan walking with Ash, unharmed, leading the way. Lily stepped forward, her ears twitching nervously. She looked at Ethan, then at Ash. The creature sat calmly beside him, watching the tribe without hostility. "What happened?" she asked, voice tense. Ethan explained briefly. The rival clan had tried to invade, but Ash had stopped them. Not recklessly, not violently, but with control and precision. The tribe listened, eyes wide. Children peeked from behind their parents. Hunters whispered among themselves. Even the elders were silent, absorbing what they had witnessed. One elder finally spoke. "The human has raised something beyond our understanding," he said. "It is no longer just prey. It is a protector, a force we cannot ignore." Lily looked at Ethan, a mix of fear and respect in her eyes. She had never seen a human command such power. She had never seen a creature so strong, so loyal, so intelligent. The old rules of the tribe were changing before her eyes. Over the next days, Ethan worked with Ash openly in the camp. He taught the tribe how to understand the creature, how to move safely around it, how to respect its strength. Ash responded to commands from humans, but only from those who earned its trust. Children learned to watch quietly, hunters learned to move with patience, and the elders began to see that strength was not only in muscle, but in intelligence, control, and partnership. Lily observed closely. She struggled with her pride. Tradition said humans were helpers, not leaders. Yet here was proof that one human, with care and intelligence, could change the balance of power. Ash had done what no predator in the valley could do alone: protect the tribe without chaos, teach control, and inspire respect. One evening, Ethan and Ash climbed the high ridge above the camp. The suns were setting, casting long shadows over the valley. Ethan looked at Ash, and Ash looked at him. They had been through danger, and they had survived together. The bond between them had grown stronger than ever. Lily approached silently, standing a few steps behind them. She did not speak at first. She watched as Ash surveyed the valley, calm and alert. She realized that the tribe's survival now depended on the human and his creature. She could resist the change, but it would not stop it. The predator was not just Ash anymore. It was a force that demanded respect. Ethan turned to her and nodded. No words were needed. She understood. Humans could shape the world in ways the tribe had never imagined. Ash was proof. The valley had changed, and the tribe would have to change with it. As night fell, Ethan and Ash returned to the camp. The tribe slept, safer than they had ever been. Predators that once roamed freely now avoided the area. The humans were no longer seen as weak. Children played under the watchful eyes of Ash, learning respect for both the creature and its human companion. Lily stayed awake thinking. She knew the future was uncertain. Rival clans might try again. Predators might test Ash's strength. But one truth was clear. Ethan had raised more than a creature. He had raised hope, protection, and a new way for humans and the tribe to survive together. Over the following weeks, Ethan continued to train Ash, exploring deeper parts of the valley. The creature's intelligence grew, its strength increased, and its understanding of humans and predators alike became sharper. Ethan observed every detail, noting how Ash predicted movements, avoided danger, and maintained control over situations that could easily turn deadly. The tribe watched closely, learning quietly. Hunters who once thought humans weak now followed Ethan's lead when Ash accompanied them. Children told stories of the human who could raise a predator that even the wild feared. Elders began to reconsider their old teachings, seeing that intelligence, patience, and care could match or surpass strength. Lily approached Ethan one morning, her voice steady. "It obeys you," she said. "It listens. It is stronger than any hunter I know." Ethan smiled. "It does not obey blindly," he said. "It chooses to trust. That is the difference." Lily looked away, realizing the truth. Humans could teach, guide, and shape life itself. Ash had become more than a creature. It was a symbol of power, respect, and survival. And in the valley, the wind carried a new sound. Predators moved quietly, avoiding Ash. Humans walked with confidence. The tribe's fear was replaced by respect, and Ethan knew that this was only the beginning. He looked at Ash, muscles relaxed but alert, eyes bright in the morning sun. Together they would face the challenges ahead. The valley had changed. The tribe had seen the proof. And for the first time, humans were no longer weak outsiders. They were teachers, guides, and masters of survival in a world that respected strength paired with intelligence. Ethan felt a quiet pride. Ash had grown, learned, and proven itself. The predator was no longer a threat. It was a protector, a teacher, and a friend. And as the suns rose higher, the valley seemed smaller, safer, and full of possibilities for those who were willing to learn and respect the new order that humans and Ash had created together. Ethan woke to the first light of the suns touching the valley. Ash was already moving, pacing near the edge of the cliff. Its eyes scanned the distance, alert for any sign of danger. Ethan admired the creature quietly. Ash had grown so fast, learning every day, becoming stronger, faster, and sharper than anything in the valley. It was more than a predator now, it was a master of survival. He prepared for the day. Ash followed without hesitation, tail low, muscles ready. Ethan had begun to trust the creature completely. The bond between them was silent but absolute. Ash did not need words to understand. It was loyal, intelligent, and patient. Lily had been watching from the edge of the camp for days. She had kept her distance, unsure how to approach the human who had changed everything. Her pride told her to stay strong, to rely on tradition, and to act according to what elders had always said. But her eyes told another story. She had seen what Ash could do. She had seen the valley bow to the quiet power of a human and his creature. Today was different. Ethan and Ash moved toward the center of the tribe's settlement. The elders and hunters paused in their routines. The humans, the tribe, and Ash together represented a new balance. Everyone could feel it, even if they did not fully understand it. Lily stepped forward. She came closer than before, keeping her ears low in respect. She spoke softly. "You control it completely," she said. Ethan nodded. "It does not follow blindly," he said. "It chooses to trust. That is the difference." Lily looked at Ash. The creature's body was relaxed but alert. It moved with precision, aware of every detail around it. It had grown faster than anyone could have expected. It was no longer a runner, no longer prey. It was an apex predator that obeyed no one except the one it trusted. The elders whispered among themselves. The balance of the tribe was shifting. Humans had always been helpers, outsiders, observers. Now they were something more. They could raise life itself, guide it, and command respect without violence. Lily felt the weight of her responsibility. As a princess, she had to protect her people. Tradition told her that outsiders were tools, not leaders. Yet here was proof that one human had changed the rules. She could fight it, ignore it, or embrace it. She understood the choice she had to make. That night, Ethan sat near his shelter. Ash lay beside him, breathing steady. Distant roars echoed from the cliffs, but Ash did not move. Ethan had taught it patience, control, and observation. It had learned not to act on instinct alone, but to think, to choose, to understand. It was a predator, but it was intelligent and disciplined. Lily approached silently, standing a few feet away. She did not speak immediately. She watched Ethan and Ash together, noticing the quiet bond, the trust, the understanding that required no words. She realized something important. This human was not weak. He was not like anyone the tribe had seen. He was a teacher, a guide, and a protector. Finally, she spoke. "The tribe cannot ignore this," she said. "We must act." Ethan looked at her. "You mean accept it?" he asked. Lily nodded. "It is not just Ash we must accept. It is what you represent. Humans are no longer just helpers. You teach, guide, and protect. You raise life into something greater. Our people must see that." Ethan smiled faintly. "That is all I have ever wanted," he said. Over the next days, Ethan worked openly with Ash in the camp. He showed the hunters how to respect the creature, how to observe it without fear, and how to learn from its intelligence. Ash responded to humans carefully, recognizing who could be trusted. Children watched quietly, learning patience, observation, and respect. Elders saw a new way of survival, one that relied on intelligence and care, not only strength. Lily stayed close, observing every action. She noticed how Ash could predict movements of other creatures, avoid danger, and act decisively when needed. She realized that the creature had taught the tribe something even more important than survival. It had taught them the value of trust, intelligence, and partnership. One morning, distant roars signaled trouble. A group of predators had crossed into the valley, testing the boundaries. Ethan and Ash moved quickly to intercept them. Ash's body was tense, ready for action. Ethan signaled the creature with a hand gesture, and Ash responded immediately. They approached a clearing where the predators had gathered. Ethan spoke softly, instructing Ash to hold, to observe. The creature crouched low, muscles coiled, eyes glowing faintly. The predators hesitated, sensing the power in Ash. They were strong, but Ash was stronger, smarter, and disciplined. Ash moved with precision, positioning itself between Ethan and the predators. It did not attack recklessly. It controlled the situation, forcing the predators to retreat without unnecessary violence. Ethan watched with quiet pride. Ash had learned restraint, control, and strategy. It was no longer just a predator, it was a guardian. The tribe observed from a distance. Whispers spread. Children pointed, elders nodded, hunters paused in awe. Lily stepped forward, understanding the truth. The balance had shifted. Humans could shape life itself, raising a creature into a force that even the wild had to respect. That night, Ethan and Ash returned to the ridge above the camp. The suns were low, casting long shadows across the valley. Ethan looked at Ash, muscles relaxed but alert. The creature's eyes reflected intelligence and loyalty. Ethan knew that their partnership had changed the valley forever. Lily approached silently, her eyes fixed on the predator. She realized that the tribe's safety now depended on this human and his creature. Tradition could no longer dictate the future. Humans were capable of shaping life, guiding survival, and commanding respect. Ash was proof of that truth. Over the following weeks, Ethan trained Ash further. They explored the valley, testing its abilities and teaching the tribe to move safely and observe with patience. Ash grew stronger, smarter, and more capable every day. The predators in the wild adjusted their behavior, giving space to the apex predator that now ruled the valley alongside Ethan. Lily continued to watch, learning the importance of trust, care, and intelligence. She knew that she would soon have to act in the tribe's interest. The human had raised a creature that could protect, teach, and change the balance of power. She could resist, but it would not stop what was coming. The future required her acceptance of Ethan and Ash as the new protectors of the valley. One evening she approached Ethan directly. "The tribe will follow you," she said. "You have earned it, but what comes next is up to you." Ethan nodded. "Ash is not just a creature," he said. "It is a teacher, a protector, and a partner. Together we can guide the tribe safely and change the future of this valley." Lily understood. Humans were no longer outsiders. They were leaders, guides, and protectors. Ash had proven it. The valley had shifted. The tribe would follow the one who commanded the apex predator, and the future belonged to those willing to learn, respect, and trust. From that night on, Ethan, Ash, and the tribe worked together. Hunters moved with care, children observed quietly, and the elders began to accept the humans' wisdom. Predators that once roamed freely avoided the outskirts of the camp. Humans were no longer weak. Lily stayed close, learning from Ethan and Ash. She knew that one day, she would have to fully commit to this new way. The human had shown her the power of intelligence, care, and trust. The predator had shown her what humans could do when they worked with life instead of against it. And as the sun set, Ethan stood with Ash on the ridge above the valley. The tribe slept safely below. Predators moved quietly in the distance, aware of the new apex force. Ethan smiled. Ash had grown, learned, and changed the valley. The future was uncertain, but for the first time humans were ready to guide it. Together, Ethan and Ash had created a new order. The tribe would follow, predators would respect. And humans, once outsiders, were now masters of survival through intelligence, patience, and the quiet power of trust. The valley had changed. The tribe had learned. And Ethan knew that the next steps would be even more important than anything that had come before. Ash was ready. He was ready. And the future, uncertain as it was, belonged to those who dared to raise life into something greater. Ethan woke to a quiet valley, the sun's rising slowly over the red cliffs. Ash stood at the edge of the ridge, muscles tense, eyes scanning the distance. The predator had grown larger now, stronger and more disciplined than ever. Ethan admired it silently. Ash was no longer just a creature he had found injured. It was a partner, a teacher, a guardian, and a force that had changed the valley. The tribe was stirring below. Children peeked from behind shelters, hunters sharpened weapons, elders spoke in low voices. The atmosphere had shifted. The humans were no longer outsiders. They were protectors, leaders, and teachers, and Ash's presence made that clear. Lily approached Ethan quietly. Her ears were low, her eyes thoughtful. She had been watching from the camp for days, seeing the changes Ash had brought, seeing the respect that humans now commanded. "The tribe listens to you," she said. "You have changed everything." Ethan nodded. "It is not me," he said. "Ash teaches, we work together. The tribe must see that strength comes from trust, care, and intelligence, not only muscle." Lily thought about the rival clans, the predators, and the dangers that had always existed in the valley. She realized that without Ethan and Ash, her people would have suffered or died. She also realized that she could not resist this new way. The human and his predator had become essential to survival. That morning, distant roars echoed from the cliffs. A large group of rival hunters was approaching the valley. They were armed, aggressive, and intent on taking control. Ethan watched Ash closely. The creature's muscles coiled, ready for action. They had faced danger before, but this was larger and more organized than anything they had seen. Ethan signaled Ash to move silently toward the group. The predator obeyed, its body low and quiet, tail sweeping the ground. Ethan followed, careful not to make noise, trusting Ash completely. As they approached, Ethan saw the hunters more clearly. There were more than he had expected. Weapons glinted in the sun's light, and their leader moved with authority, shouting commands. The valley would have been lost without Ash. The predator struck first. It moved with precision, hitting the ground in controlled bursts that forced the hunters to pause. One stumbled and fell, startled by the sudden movement. The others froze, sensing the power of Ash, unsure how to react. Ethan stepped forward, hands raised slightly. Ash stayed low, ready to act but obedient. The hunters hesitated, realizing that this was no ordinary human or predator. Ethan's presence was calm, confident, and commanding. He did not need to fight. Ash did not attack recklessly. Together, they controlled the situation without unnecessary violence. Slowly, the rival hunters retreated, their confidence broken. They had never faced a predator so disciplined, so intelligent, and so loyal to a human. Ethan and Ash had proven that power was not only in strength but in control, trust, and intelligence. The tribe watched from a distance, whispers spreading quickly. They had seen humans protect the valley, guide life, and command respect. Children told stories, elders nodded, and hunters began to follow Ethan's lead. Ash had not only protected the tribe, but had taught them a lesson they would never forget. Lily stepped forward, ears low, eyes bright. She understood that the human had changed everything. The tribe's safety, survival, and future now depended on Ethan and Ash. She had resisted before, but now she knew there was no choice. The balance of power had shifted, and humans were no longer outsiders. Over the following weeks, Ethan worked with Ash to train the tribe. Hunters learned how to move with care, how to observe predators, and how to respect the intelligence of Ash. Children learned patience, observation, and trust. Elders began to accept that humans could teach, guide, and protect. The valley had been transformed. Lily stayed close to Ethan, learning from him, understanding the importance of his work. She realized that survival required more than strength. It required intelligence, guidance, and the ability to raise life into something greater. Ash had shown her that humans could do what predators alone could not. One evening, Ethan and Ash climbed the ridge above the valley. The suns were low, casting long shadows across the red cliffs. Ethan looked at Ash. The creature's body was relaxed, yet every muscle remained alert. The predator had grown beyond anything the valley had known. It was no longer prey, no longer simple, no longer ordinary. It was a guardian, a teacher, a force of nature allied with humans. Lily approached silently. She did not speak immediately. She watched Ash, saw the intelligence in its eyes, the loyalty, the precision of its movements. She realized that the tribe's survival depended on accepting this new reality. Tradition was important, but survival and wisdom mattered more. She had to embrace what Ethan and Ash had created. Finally, she spoke. "We follow you," she said. "The tribe will listen. But the future, it will be ours together." Ethan nodded. Ash's eyes glowed faintly, acknowledging the truth in her words. The bond between human and predator had shaped the valley, and now it was time to guide the tribe into a new era. Over the next months, the tribe changed. They moved with care, observed with patience, and respected both the humans and Ash. Hunters became teachers, children became learners, and the elders began to understand the value of intelligence and trust over tradition alone. Predators that once roamed freely avoided the valley, sensing the apex presence of Ash. Humans walked with confidence. Fear became respect. Lily stayed by Ethan's side, learning, guiding, and understanding. She had once believed humans were weak outsiders. Now she saw them as protectors and leaders. She realized that true power came from care, intelligence, and the ability to guide life without destroying it. Ash had taught the valley that lesson, and Ethan had shown the tribe how to follow it. One night as the sun set, Ethan stood with Ash on the highest ridge. The valley below was quiet, safe, and alive. The predators kept their distance, the tribe slept peacefully, and humans walked with the confidence of those who had earned respect. Ethan knew the journey was not over. Challenges would come, predators would return, and rival clans might test their strength again. But now humans were ready. Ash was ready. The tribe was ready. Ash pressed close to Ethan, muscles relaxed but alert. The bond between them was complete. The predator had grown from a small, injured creature into a guardian of the valley, a teacher, and a master of survival. Ethan felt pride not for himself, but for what they had achieved together. Lily approached quietly, standing beside him. She looked out over the valley, understanding the future. The humans were no longer outsiders. They were leaders, teachers, and protectors. The tribe had learned to follow, predators had learned to respect, and the balance of the valley had shifted forever. Ethan spoke softly, more to himself than anyone else. "We have done it," he said, "together." Ash exhaled slowly, eyes watching the valley. The predator had grown, learned, and chosen its place beside humans. It was a force of trust, intelligence, and quiet strength. The valley had changed because of them. Lily smiled faintly, understanding the power of what Ethan had done. The tribe would follow, the valley would respect, and the future would belong to those who were willing to raise life, guide it, and protect it. Humans had proved themselves, not with force alone, but with patience, intelligence, and care. As the suns disappeared behind the cliffs, the valley was calm. Predators moved quietly in the distance, aware of the new apex presence. The tribe rested safely, guided by humans and the predator that had once been small and weak. Ethan looked at Ash, muscles relaxed but alert, and then at Lily, standing with respect and understanding. The bond between human, predator, and tribe was complete. Together they had changed the valley, created a new order, and proven that intelligence and trust could shape survival even in the wildest, most dangerous lands. The future was theirs. Ash had grown into a guardian. Ethan had grown into a leader. And the tribe had grown into a people who could survive, respect, and thrive under the quiet power of a human and the apex predator he had raised. The valley had learned. Humans were no longer outsiders. They were masters of survival, guides of life, and teachers of respect. Ash was proof, Ethan was proof, and together they had created a world where strength and intelligence, care and trust ruled over fear and weakness. The suns finally set, leaving the valley in soft darkness. Ash crouched beside Ethan, alert yet calm. The tribe slept peacefully. Predators stayed distant. And the human who had raised the tiny injured creature into a terrifying apex predator smiled quietly, knowing that the future was secure, the valley safe, and the lesson clear. Life could be guided, shaped, and protected by those who cared enough to teach it, trust it, and respect it. The valley was theirs now, and it would never be the same again.